Okay. So, Zui, do you know that the war that is happening currently in Iran and obviously orchestrated by USA, Israel, and a lot more countries are now getting involved, even Lebanon, for example. So, in that war, around 500 to 1,500 civilians are already dead in Iran based on some of the sources, and the number varies a bit. But in India as well, we are like starting to feel the heat of that war where we are out of LPG gas. Not out of,
Yeah.
but we have a shortage of that. And maybe it will eventually come back when the
Mhm.
war slows down a bit. But we are still experiencing, a lot of people are experiencing this.
Yeah.
And apart from that, the petrol prices will be rising up. Is going to affect the import and export industry, that will result in food prices going up. So it's going to affect us a lot, and it will obviously not affect a middle class person immediately, because whatever happens in the world, it first goes to the poor people
Yeah.
and then it rises as per the classes. So slightly less poor people will be more affected, and it will eventually reach the middle
Mhm.
class.
Mhm.
Like the situation with climate change is also the same, because it is affecting the most poorest of the poor right now, but then eventually it will catch up to middle class. So a
Yeah.
lot of crises work that way, and it is working that way. And the discussions are now starting from what is happening in Iran, who is doing that, who is doing what. My question was that, and this question came to me when I was just scrolling through the reels, and this was a horrible reel where the caption was an Iranian woman films her own death, and
Mhm.
it was like a missile just landed in front of her, and she was saved. Like, she didn't die from the first one, but then she died from the second one. And then I had my next move was to scroll that reel, because
Yeah.
what more I'm going to do? Yes, I think I shared the reel as well. I don't know, but sometimes I don't share this kind of a reel with you guys also, because I feel I don't want to disturb you.
Yeah.
Maybe you are in a very good mood and I just don't want you to see this reel right now. So I'm also trying that I don't share a lot of reels that don't offer any kind of solution or don't
Yeah.
offer the whole context,
Yeah.
because it is very frustrating, or it is saddening. And then eventually what we do is like don't watch that, or like scroll past it and or close Instagram.
Mhm.
So my question then became, how are you also going through what is happening, because it just feels very overwhelming.
Mhm.
And because like, and I also have a doubt that should we care this much about something happening so far away from us. So let me know your experience so far.
Yeah, I think the very first time that I experienced something like this was when the war in Gaza was going on, and there was a lot of videos, a surge of information coming from the civilians on social media, which everybody could access and see. And I think that was the first time that I felt the actual, helplessness that we feel being so far away from the actual war zone, and that we cannot do anything besides probably put up a story in
Mm.
thinking that we might make a
Make a
difference,
difference. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, in all of this situation. But we really, I don't know how much impact that has, even though we have all of this time we have been sharing stuff, we have been talking about these things, and we know that we are vocal about this stuff, but I don't know how much impact it actually creates. But that was the first time that it happened with me, when I was very very active on social media, and an actual war, content from an actual war was being streamed
Yeah,
online. So that was the first time I felt truly helpless, that I had
yeah.
nothing else to do. And I used to do the same thing that you said right now. Every time that probably a child from Gaza is asking for help on those videos, I used to scroll past, because after a couple of videos it starts to become a burden on you, because there is, if I am not in a position financially to probably donate as much, as many videos that come into my feed, right? So that was the very first thing that started happening, that after a few videos, probably like 10-15 videos, I just started scrolling past it. I
Yeah.
started saying that I'm not interested in content like this, because it starts affecting you personally. And then it feels like you cannot live your life happily, because there is clearly a humanitarian crisis going on
Yeah.
somewhere else in the world.
And that's how we have to navigate this
Yeah.
world right now, which and again, like I do get that this is a privilege to be in this position to care about things not happening right in front of us, because like yeah, I do get it, but it's still that because social media has now connected us so
Hmm.
much that we are bound to get this information,
Yeah.
even if we don't watch this kind of information,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
someone is posting it, people are liking it and sharing it, because yeah, people want to help. But
Yeah.
apart from this, there is kind of no way to really help. Yeah, you can donate some money, but like there's going to be a limit. If you are a
Hmm.
middle class person, you can't actually donate like 1 lakh rupees. You can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's it. And also one feeling that I have been having is this really happening?
Hmm.
Because of the phenomenon of war becoming a content as well.
Yeah.
So earlier we used to go and watch a news channel for for news, and we knew that we are going to receive news from it.
Hmm.
So when they used to give news, it wasn't as if, okay, so 5 people died in this attack. This cat is now eating health is healthy and now eating. Oh, there's an accident in Pune. Oh, look
Hmm.
at what is happening in Mahabaleshwar. Oh, did you visit Sri Lanka? You should. Oh,
Hmm.
5 people died again in this attack. So it's
Yeah.
not that we are focused and we are consuming. We want to get updated. We want to be aware what is happening so that we can make changes in our lives.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, it is somehow now obviously starting to affect Indians as well, because the LPG gas shortage is there, and petrol prices may go up, and inflation will happen eventually,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
we are living on fossil fuels,
Hmm.
and this war is going to have a dent in the fossil fuel transportation. So all of this combined, but then because the war content is mixed up with the other content where we are somehow looking at a meme and then immediately looking at someone dying,
Yeah.
so it feels unreal. It feels as
Yeah.
though, is this really happening? Plus we have this AI thing now coming up
Yeah.
where we don't actually know if something is true or not, and there's a big thing happening that people are creating deep fakes
Yes.
of
Yes.
war footages, and then that's also been circulated, and it's just becoming, you know what, then I have to be away from Instagram. And that's the
Yeah.
coping mechanism that
Yeah.
we do, which is not actually dealing with the issue, but we are just going away from news. And I think that's why it just feels unreal as well.
Yeah, I think it's a so many emotions at once are happening in our brain when we are constantly scrolling on social media. Like you said, the same thing is happening with me when I look at like two, three. If I like one of those posts where I see that some kind of war crime is happening, or some people are reporting it, then I like that post, because I that is the kind of content that I'm
Yeah,
consuming. So I do
yeah.
that, and then of course the same kind of content keeps popping up. But then again, there is also the content that I usually consume, which is memes, and which is funny stuff, get ready with me's, or stuff like that. And then at one point you just become so desensitized to all of it that the emotion of sadness or sorrow that you're feeling after you look at a reel from the war zone, you just don't feel anything. And that is in itself a very bad feeling, that I look at that reel and
Yeah,
i
and we
i
don't
feel like,
feel, because
yeah.
yeah, and that is very true, because of the constant bombardment of the same
Yes.
information. And then we look at news articles as well which quantify death, which
Yeah.
is somehow we shouldn't do that, but obviously they have to report and say, okay, 1,000 dead. And
Yeah.
the thing is, again, the meaning of numbers has also been lost somewhere. So
Yes.
when you
Yes.
say that, okay, 70 million people have been displaced, we actually can't imagine 70 million.
Mm.
So we look at 70, and
Yeah.
when we look at million, and then we do feel that, oh, this is a big number, but we still feel nothing really.
Yeah.
because the number has does not have a value, but
Yeah.
the individual person who has been displaced, who has lost his or her home, lost their pet, or lost their babies, it's traumatizing for them.
Yeah.
And us sitting here, we can't imagine that if we are constantly seeing death or constantly seeing this atrocities. But
Mm.
if we see one atrocity and there is a big story about it and we read about it, then we do contemplate that, and when then we do feel it, but we need time to process that, and
Yes.
we don't
Yes.
have that time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, like, yeah, you can say then stay away from Instagram, but
Mm.
our generation is not getting news from TV or
Yeah.
newspapers. Our
Yeah.
generation is getting news from social media.
Yeah.
So we can't really stay away from it,
Yeah.
then we won't be like informed ever, because
Yeah.
we are not into the habit of going on an app. Like, even I myself, I'm like having it difficult to actually bring in reading New York Times in my
Yeah.
routine, or
Yeah.
reading
Yeah.
Indian Express in my routine, because it just doesn't happen. Because if we have some time, we go on Instagram or we go on some other social media. Like, Vedant uses X a lot, so
Yeah.
he'll go on X, and there
Mm.
will be this information. So uh,
That's a stark difference actually that I have seen in my own house, that when I am receiving my information, like you said, from social media. So I am scrolling through Instagram to know what kind of what is going on in the world. But on the other hand, my father, who is from the television news
yeah,
era or
yeah, yeah.
era, newspaper era, he is we don't have a news channel, or we don't have cable TV at our home.
Mhm.
But whenever he's watching TV, he's only watching news. Or whenever he's on his phone, he's only watching YouTube videos of the particular topic. So he's only watching war news all the time. So I think this is the difference that I have noticed in my own home, because he's very focused on the information that he wants to receive. He's not in that dilemma whether he wants to tackle this emotion or that emotion. He knows that
Yeah,
he only wants news, and he will only consume that. I don't think that we, as this generation, we don't have that privilege, I would say, or we don't have that choice anymore, because we're too
yeah, yeah,
used to all of this
absolutely, yeah.
information.
And we can't go back to watching TV news because it's so bad. I mean,
Yes.
do I watch TV news shows from America? Yes, I watch them
Yeah.
on YouTube because they are still good enough. So, like,
Mm.
Last Week Tonight, for example, or if
Yeah.
I think there's one more show called The Daily Show,
Mm.
and they are talking about politics. I listen to like discussions and podcasts that are there. I listen to the but I look at it on YouTube.
Mm.
But if you ask me to go back to Indian television channels, it's impossible for me,
Yeah.
because there is like less substance, there is no real discussion. So
True.
it happens. Going back to, like, you said that you don't feel enough about a death or enough about
Yeah.
atrocity now,
Yeah.
and that is a common phenomenon, and I know that people feel bad about this as well. Like, why am I not feeling this? Why
Yeah.
am I just letting this happen?
Yeah.
Why am I, you know like, am I not empathetic now? Because
Mm-hmm.
someone is dying and
Mm.
I am scrolling past it, and then I'm
Yes.
going and doing my own thing.
Yeah.
But uh, and I don't have any avenue to express as well.
Mm.
So this is a very studied phenomenon, and that studied phenomenon's name is compassion fatigue.
Okay.
So human beings do feel compassion, normal people like us. Uh, we do feel compassion. We feel compassion towards an animal, towards a neighbor, towards a friend,
Mm.
and apart from that, we have the capacity to feel for someone on social media or on news.
Mm.
But because we constantly receive this information, this type of information about war atrocities, we run out of compassion.
Yeah.
And this is a very real thing, because you can't really feel about someone who you don't know,
Mm.
who you are seeing on a format
Yeah.
that your brain is used to perceive as entertainment.
Yeah.
So when you're seeing someone on Instagram, it is going to be it is going to be different than how you see them on a TV or in a movie or in a
Mm.
theater. So if movies start releasing on Instagram, you won't have that kind of an effect that you have when you go and watch them on theaters.
Yeah.
So a very poor movie can also feel as a good movie in theaters,
Mm.
because the format is very different. There is audio that makes an impact. There is like a big screen element that plays an impact. The lighting, the mood plays an impact. The collective experience does that. But
Yeah.
watching the same movie at home may not feel that. So you will
Yeah.
appreciate that movie, but it
Even the
may
lack
not.
of distraction is also one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. So when our brain is accustomed, and why accustomed? Because war news wasn't a thing on social media when social media became like this huge thing, I think around 8 to 9 years ago. So we are now accustomed to seeing our relatives, our friends on
Mm.
Instagram. We are looking at their stories and what they are
Yeah.
doing, and then we are looking at memes. We were accustomed to look at memes because that was a big thing on social media. And then we are looking at funny reels. We are looking at creators, and then we are looking at news as well in that.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for us to feel that compassion. Now, if
Mm.
you again like change it a bit and say, okay, from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on all social media platforms, you will only see news content or
Yeah.
only see like war content. So even that will be a very different experience, and we can still feel a lot of compassion because our brain knows that we are going to consume this. But when it
Mm.
appears randomly,
Mm.
when your brain is not prepared for that,
Yeah.
it's going to affect you, and it's going to, and brain our brain fundamentally does not like conflicts. So
Mm.
our brain is in constant conflict. Oh, okay, should I feel this, should I go past, should I do something, should I not? And in that moment, because we don't want that conflict, because we also have personal lives
Yeah.
and our personal problems and issues, and we're dealing with that, our brain is thinking, I don't want something extra right now, let's
Mm.
scroll past it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and that's what happens. So it is very real.
So one thing that I also wanted to talk about, which you mentioned, is the use of AI in all of this. I think again this started from All Eyes on Rafa when that happened, and it
Yeah,
was an
yeah.
AI generated image, and the shareability of that image was so huge. So many people shared that AI image, and also there were a lot of posts and articles that were talking about how an AI image is being shared to that extent, but the actual things that are happening on ground are not being shared as much. So that was the first, I think, the very first taste of how AI works in this war crime
Yeah.
ecosystem. How that happens was that was the first taste that we got, and I think the latest one that I have personally come across is how Netanyahu's videos are accused of being AI. How he has six fingers in some of his videos,
Yeah,
and people are saying that the coffee is not moving or stuff
yeah.
like that. So I think that is the transition that has happened. That was only an image when it all started, and now that, like, the people who are actually doing all of these wars, the people who are responsible for these wars, they are coming on social media,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
their videos are accused of being
Yes,
AI.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and I think that is the kind of transition that we've gone through, is how this has now become this has also become a digital warfare now. It's not just on ground, it's not just the people dying, but it's also the mass manipulation that is happening, not just in that country or in the countries that are directly affected by the war, but also in the countries who are not directly being affected. We are obviously indirectly affected by all of this with the LPG and everything, petroleum.
Yeah,
But this kind of warfare that is happening on social media also needs to be moderated somehow. Of course, I mean, so how I thought of it was that people on ground, whoever are actually suffering in this war, they are putting out videos of it on social media so that people know about it, so that people know what's actually going on ground. But what I did not think about before was that the leaders or the people who are causing this war will also use the same platform to do
yeah.
the opposite thing.
Yeah, yeah. And it is crazy. That's why I've said to you multiple times that this all feels like a prank on us. Like,
Yes,
are they
yes.
serious? Are they even serious? Like, why are these world leaders and countries who are against each other and at war?
Yeah.
publishing social media
Yeah.
content, and it's just crazy, like it just doesn't feel real, and that's why I'm saying that it feels unreal
Yeah.
because of this reason as well. And I'll give you another example, and it was so funny, and when I saw this I was like, What are they even doing?" Because Iran actually produced an AI film of
Yeah.
Legos that was like the Iranian propaganda by saying how Israel attacked them and killed these young students and girls in a school. So they bombed and attacked a school in Iran, and I think around 160 girls were killed. And it is a horrible news, but they created this AI Lego movie ad that is there, and it's a Lego movie were like these Batman and
Yeah.
brain rot movies.
Unserious movies.
Yeah, and they created this AI version of it, and that was the peak, and that's when I felt that this feels like a prank. This feels
Yeah.
like these guys are not at war. They're just like doing something with to our brain. How
Because yeah, I don't understand because when people started accusing Netanyahu's videos of being AI, he also put out a video saying that this
yeah,
is not AI.
not
Why should
AI.
we care? Why
Yeah,
why is he caring about the people online saying that his videos are AI or that he's dead? I don't understand. He's not affected by all of it, but that I think brought my attention to how much effect actually
yeah,
social media and this digital ecosystem has on the entire war that is going on. So that made more sense when I thought about it from the other perspective and how it's actually a warfare. I have no other way to say it than we are also at war with each other and like they are
yes,
also creating a war on digital media.
yes.
So
So media has always been a tool for propaganda that we
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Movies have been used, and obviously news has been used, and social media is just like amplifying that.
Yeah.
Plus, you have AI that is like you can actually create stuff very quickly now. So, if
Mm,
Iran wanted to have a movie, an animated movie, trying to say and tell Iranian people that how Israel has killed
mm,
these 160 girls, they would require 3 years to do it,
yeah.
because like you need animators, you need
Yeah.
script writers, and you need to, but now they like did it in like a week. So that is also very concerning, because obviously when we like increase the speed of doing things,
Hmm.
it is going to be very difficult to verify them,
Yes.
to like consider them as information worthy or like have substance, because
Yeah.
like it's just so rapid. And again, yeah, like we discussed, because it is so rapid, it becomes very difficult for us to grasp that.
Yes.
And then we come to the next point, we get desensitized
Yeah.
to death and to
Yeah.
atrocities and to suffering.
Mm,
And this goes beyond war as well. This comes down to when we see like these ads about please donate for this
mm,
kid because he's going like he's suffering from this disease, like help old people because their kids have thrown them out, help
yeah.
these animals because climate change is affecting them, like help these indigenous people because government has approved mines on their uh,
Mm,
land. So because we can't take this information and ponder on it for a week, try to
mm,
think of a solution, then do something about it,
yeah.
it becomes difficult, and we scroll past it, because in order to directly affect something, we need time to process, and we need
Yeah.
time to think what is the next best step. We
Mm,
can't decide it in 2 seconds.
mm,
It's impossible, because like even the best of the best who are on this problem for trying to find a solution, they need years to find
yeah.
a solution to this problem. So we can't do that, but our brain kind of convinces us that we need to do something. If you're a good person, obviously, if you don't care
Yeah.
about any of this stuff, you are like a very happy person, unless all of this stuff affects you eventually,
Mm,
and then you cry about it. So yeah, this does happen. And another thing that happens is that you start believing in things that sound true
yes.
aren't,
Yes.
and these things are usually trying to comfort you. One of the
Mm,
example is that this war was necessary to eliminate terrorists getting nuclear
yeah.
weapons,
Yeah.
and that is a big propaganda that US has been doing since like 40 years. They have been
Mm,
saying that Middle East can't have nuclear weapons, and that's fine. Like, okay, terrorists shouldn't have nuclear weapons. That's like a very obvious thing to say.
Hmm.
Like people don't need to even say that. But even Indians are now like convinced that this is a war against terrorists. And then I had to talk with a person and tell him that, even if that is true, there are different ways,
Yes.
and the most rational way is to not go at a war.
Yes.
Where, I mean, this is crazy. You can't justify war by just like this one. And there are one reason, and there are, if you want to eradicate terrorists and stuff, there are like these focused projects that are
Yeah.
done, or like you
Yeah.
put pressure on the president, or you put pressure on the leaders of that country, because the world can actually come together and say, you have that and we don't want that. So there are
Yeah.
different ways, but this propaganda kind of seeps into people. And because I think normal people, as I said, don't want conflict in their head, because like
Mm-hmm.
this comes down to philosophy, morality. This comes down to like this huge geopolitical thing that we don't know. We just
Mm-hmm.
don't know how these things work. So in order to not have that conflict, the easiest reason to latch on to that sounds true and that justifies their position,
Yes.
that calms them down, is the one usually what people believe in,
Yeah, I
because
think I
yeah.
also had a discussion like that with one of my
Yeah,
uh, relative, I guess.
yeah,
Uh, it was somebody. I said that killing the leader or the president or the prime minister of some other country only because you want to seize. You have some thing in your head that they are
yeah.
not ruling properly or they are harboring terrorists only because you have that theory. Killing someone, killing a leader directly in global politics does not make sense because we have systems in place where you can go to particular focus groups, like you said, and they will carry out that certain or
Yeah,
whatever mission that you
yeah,
want.
military missions are like
Yes, exactly.
concentrated military missions. If you want to do something about it, if the terrorists are harmed, like we do with
Yes.
Pakistan.
Yeah,
We don't go
exactly.
in war with Pakistan, but we do try to counter terrorism
Exactly.
in their
Yeah, and
language.
then in discussions like these, the very first response that comes from the other side is that no, but they were harboring terrorists or they were supporting terrorists, so this was an essential move, but it really wasn't. And I think this is the effect of propaganda that is happening on people, that they immediately latch on to one narrative of the entire thing and they don't see anything else. So they're only thinking about, okay, this leader was killed and now terrorism will be gone. That is not the case. The act of killing a president or a leader of another country is also an act of terrorism. You
Yeah,
can very well say that.
yeah.
So that is, so terrorism can also feel this can be a terrorist move for those people as well, right? For the people of Iran, for the people of Israel, everybody else, this is a terrorist move for them. But then that is why we have systems in place, and people don't understand that there is a due diligence, there is a due process of doing things.
Also, yeah, yeah, exactly. And also, one funny thing is that people who support this, like, okay, I mean, this is a bit off topic, but still, like Iran's regime was like really making their people suffer. But
Yes,
but
yes.
but on the other hand, then you should be okay with refugee immigration, because
Yeah,
the if you really care about these
yeah.
people, the people who are going going away from their country, escaping this regime,
Mm,
then you should support other countries accepting them, right? But
yeah,
that's also not the case. So what do you then expect these people to do? Because these people are normal people like us. They
yeah,
don't want war. I think majority of the world who are living their life peacefully, apart
yeah.
from the leaders and apart from the extremists or people who are convinced about one cause, and
Mm,
they feel like war is justified. I think a lot of people would just say, I don't want a war. I just want a normal life where I go
yeah,
and eat a pizza and come home. So this is the same with Iranian people, and it's the same with Indian people, and same with
yeah.
American people. So
I
uh,
think one of the other things that I felt about the desensitization of war, I used so these videos of Omegle, interview
mhm.
Omegle
Yeah, yeah,
meets.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They were on my feed where this guy from Palestine, this Palestinian guy, was getting on
Yeah.
Omegle meets with people from
Israeli
Israel.
people, yeah.
Yeah, and they were being very aggressive in those videos, and they were saying stuff like, we don't care about people from Palestine, we would kill the children, we will kill the women, we will kill everyone. We don't care. We will bomb the schools, we will bomb hospitals, stuff like that. So they were saying a lot of stuff which was very aggressive in nature in those videos. But when I thought about it, I also figured out that probably he's only putting out those kind of videos online.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So there's also um, that kind of propaganda that's been going on, that all Israelis are also.
Yeah, of course, there are going to
Yeah,
be
exactly,
Israeli people who don't like this, and they would
exactly.
probably like, but obviously, it's very difficult to say something against your government who
Yes,
is
yes.
actually bombing people.
Yeah,
So, obviously,
and
you
then I
don't want to
also
go
thought
against it.
about
Yeah.
that how these people, whoever these people were, and they were saying stuff like this on Omegle to that guy, how they are also brainwashed to an extent where they feel like murder and genocide is
Yeah.
fine
Yeah.
because it is probably purging the earth of Palestinians, or they're doing the good deed, they're the good
Yeah,
people.
because it
So
comes down to religion as well, right? You know, the
exactly,
land that was
exactly.
promised to us needs to be
Yes,
there, and Muslims are the problem. Yeah.
yeah. So
So how have you like do you have you thought of anything to deal with this? Because we can't just leave with, you know, this is
mm,
happening, that is happening,
eh,
because we do know how these systems
yeah.
work. So we should be smart enough to navigate through that. So have you thought of anything? I do
So
have a solution, but I want to listen from you.
yeah, yeah. So for now, I think the best way to deal with this is that I give the I give myself enough time to process that information. When I am actively thinking about, so if I come across a reel of the war, and I am not in the headspace to think about it, then I don't want to consume that content. But when I am actually consuming that kind of, when I read an article, or when I look at a video of something that's happening, then I dive deeper, then I give enough time to understand what is actually happening, and I don't mix that up with something else that I'm doing. So that is one thing that I'm trying to do. Of course, it does not happen very easily with me, because I also get distracted a lot when I am on social media. But I've started to do that. That when I come across a video or a post that is actually about the war, then I read it properly, and I also look at some other posts. So that time
Mm,
is only for that. I think the next step for me is to assign a time to this and do that only in that time, and then not get distracted by something else in my other time as well. So I think that is my next step. But for now, this is what I'm doing,
yeah.
and I won't say it is helping me per se, because it's still very saddening to consume that information. But it is helping with. um not being able to empathize with that information. So
Mm,
I'm being able to properly feel what I want to feel when I'm reading that thing.
yeah.
So yeah.
And I think so. One important thing is that you need to recognize that real people are being affected.
Yes.
Or because another reason why sometimes we don't feel that is because our brain is still not accustomed, even though we feel, but we are not accustomed to feel real when we watch something on a screen,
Hmm.
because we are not evolving at a pace equivalent to the
Yeah.
tech technology and its speed of evolving. So our
Yes.
brains fundamentally, they are still in the Stone Age. So
Hmm.
our brain is the same brain that we had in the Stone Ages. But because technology evolved, we slowly got accustomed to it, but it took around 100 years to get something like enhanced version of something. The
Hmm.
speed of that technological development was quite slow. So our generations could adjust, our older people could give that wisdom of
Yeah.
dealing with this situation to the younger ones, and then they used to give it to the next generation. But what
Yes.
now is happening is one generation is not able to really adapt to the technology,
Hmm.
because once we start doing that, there is something new that comes up, because the
Hmm.
pace of that technological development is so much that it becomes very difficult to then understand the people or the human aspect behind that. So
Hmm.
it's very important that we do understand that yes, real people are being affected by this, so I should be a bit more serious about this. But the way, second point, the way I will consume this is I will take in or I will find sources, basically media companies, who have sent their journalist on the ground. So what
Yes.
they are reporting, that is my best source of getting to know the truth.
Mm,
Indian media companies do not fall into that because
mm,
they have not sent anyone on the ground to report on what is exactly happening. What they do is the same thing that we do. They take news and information from someone who is reporting and then try to make sense of it for us. They fail at it miserably because their agenda is completely different. I don't know what they, I mean, apart from TRP and stuff, I don't know like what they want to do. But anyways, but there are media companies like Reuters or NYT or I would say I think BBC also. BBC's journalists are also on the ground, even though you may feel that okay, these are biased towards left, these are biased towards right. You need to just see that okay, this journalist is on the ground and he's talking about what is happening on the ground. So that's it. That's the information I will get. And you can
mm.
actually just not consume anything for a week and then
Yeah.
sit on a Friday or a Saturday, 1 hour, and then look at everything that is happening. Because
Mm,
third thing that you have to remember is a story takes at least a week to develop.
mm.
And the fourth thing, the action that you can take if you want to help it out or if you want to help the people out is by not donating individually. You can still do that if you want to, but you can actually find organizations
Yes.
that are doing the job of providing food, of providing shelter, of providing medical help to these people who are being affected by the war and donate to them because
Mhm.
then they have the tools to actually take in that money and actually use it to
Yeah.
the right cause. Now, even finding those organizations can be difficult. So then you have to sort of give some time to look at their Instagram page, look at their website, look at what people are saying about them, and then look at the case studies, what they have done, what they are doing, what they are actually requesting the money for, and then you can do it. Apart beyond that, you can't actually do anything.
Mm.
But then the fifth thing comes in that why stay aware about this big crisis, because it is now affecting us, it is now
Yes.
affecting our content, it will eventually affect the middle class as well. Right now it's not affecting that much. The only thing that has affected me was that when we went to a restaurant and we wanted to eat
Yeah.
we eat an item, they said no, we have a restricted menu because we are short on LPG gas. So that's the only thing
Yeah.
that we are being affected right now, but we never know what may happen.
Yes.
So that's kind of it. And these are the pointers for how to look at information that is coming to us as well. Yeah. Anything else?
That's all.
Yeah. A good episode. And we ended at 41. And that's good enough. And I think we did a lot of prep. So I think 10 minutes will be removed from this. It's come down to 30 minutes. So it's good enough. I think 30 minutes discussion was a quality discussion. And now
Yeah.
we may go and watch Dhurandhar next week.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to discuss
Yeah.
that as well because the reviews that I have heard is that it's more propaganda than the
Yes.
previous one.
Yes.
So previous one we did say that it didn't feel like a propaganda. There were subtle hints that okay they were trying to praise the current government, but
Mm.
it was still a very good movie. Like even when I watched it, I didn't feel as though it was like blatant propaganda and trying to
Yeah.
divide us within ourselves. But this this
Yes.
the reviews have been interesting for this movie, so I'm kind
Yeah.
of
Same.
excited to watch this as well. Also excited to watch Tigi as well, so because
Yeah.
that's also a movie that everyone is kind of praising. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so okay, all right. Next week, perhaps we'll discuss on that. And
Yes.
yeah, I think we are done. If you have anything more to say, if you want to share something, your experience about consuming content on this war, do share it with us. And we will meet Zui and me, and Zui and I, and perhaps Vedan if he joins us. We will meet you all until next time.